What's up, guys and gals? Your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys another discussion video. Today's topic surrounding Jujutsu Kaisen, more specifically, a statement made by the mangaka of Jujutsu Kaisen. In late 2022, in December, mid-December, Gege stated that he wanted to end Jujutsu Kaisen, the manga series, of course, in about a year. That would mean by the end of this year, in 2023, Jujutsu Kaisen would be done, over, finished, finito. Now, before we even get into why I'm bringing up a statement that's 6-7 weeks old, we of the anime manga community know, any one of us that has been a part of this community for any longer than about, well, 5 minutes or so, that there are specifically two groups of people you do not trust in the manga industry with the concept of time, nor how to read calendars. And that would be the mangaka themselves and their goddamn editors, alright? These are the two groups of people you never trust, or you take the heaviest grain of salt, a boulder, a catapult-sized grain of salt, when they state anything that has a time frame. Anything. I mean, when an arc is going to start, how long an arc is going to go, what's going to happen in the arc, when the series is ending, how long the series is going to last, when this is... You do not trust their statements, okay? There may be evidence. Now, I did a quick Google search before making this video, but I didn't do extensive research, so forgive me if this is a little inaccurate. But for the most part, generally speaking, there's more evidence to say that they don't really know how to read a calendar versus that they do. So, definitely bringing that up, why does this statement bother me now? And why am I making a video about a statement made in mid-December of 2022, now here in February 2023? Why does it concern me now? And if it's true that long-running series mangakas and their editors generally don't know what they're talking about, because nobody in the community believes Jujutsu Kaisen can certainly end in a year, there's just no way. There's so much more to cover. There's backstories, there's character arcs, there's, you know, the final battles and all that stuff. So there's no way we can end that in a year, right? Well, I actually have two pieces of evidence, or at the very least reasons, if you will, as to why this statement bothers me now, today, and didn't bother me back when it was first released in December. Those two pieces of evidence being a second statement by Gege previously, and the latest chapters 210, 211 respectively, as to why I'm a little more concerned now by that statement and whether it actually holds true water or weight or not. Now, let's just move on to the statement part first, and then we'll talk about why chapters 210 and 11 sort of have me concerned. The first thing is that, of course, the statements. Now, the statement has been gone on to say that it was actually mistranslated or misconstrued. Gege never actually meant what he said, or he didn't say that exactly. The problem is that we trust translators when they first translate an interview, or a statement, or a tweet, or etc., right? Now, when people come out and retranslate it, I'm not saying that they did a bad job, but I'm also not saying that the first person did a bad job. I don't speak or read Japanese, so there's no way for me to actually accurately know which one is true. I trusted the first translation just as much as I trusted the next translation. So, for me, it's a bit of a 50-50. I can't honestly say that just because somebody translated it later that the latest translation is the most correct one, and I can't say that the first one is obviously wrong. And by the flip side, I can't also say that the first one is definitely the right one and the later translation is wrong, right? So as a result of that, there's no real accurate way to know whether this statement was the way it was intended or not, at least me as an English-speaking person. My evidence towards this, however, is a second statement, a statement made even longer ago in February of 2021 by Gege, where he stated, and I never saw any controversial or this tweet was mistranslated, this interview was mistranslated, that's not what Gege meant. I never saw anything about this statement that I could find on the internet now, is in regards to the fact that he thought Jujutsu Kaisen would end in about 2 years or so. Now, correct my math if I'm mistaken here, but we are into that very month. We are into 2023 of February. When he made that statement, he said 2 years or so. And if we are to take the original translation of the tweet in December of 2022, and Gege said, hey, I'm ending it in about a year, that would line up pretty good. Mangakas, as I've already stated before, mangakas and editors aren't so great with time, but the fact that across 2 years now, and now we're into the 3rd year, in 2 years he's made 2 time frame statements, and they seemingly are adding up pretty close. I don't know. That's what concerns me, and that sort of tips the scales for me in the fact that the original translation was correct, and maybe the second and later on translations was just the fan base going, there's just no way. Because we can't believe there's any way Jujutsu Kaisen could end in about 40 odd chapters from now, right? That just seems inconceivable. That doesn't seem possible. Now, I've already stated my second reason was the latest couple of chapters, 210 and 211, respectively. Also, big shout out to my comment section for trying to help me to better understand chapter 211. Thank you very much for that. But that's not the reason that I have that as a piece of evidence. It's not my lack of comprehension of 211. It's the fact is, Gege is skipping shit. He's trimming the fat away from this story way too much in the latest couple of chapters, in my opinion. He is bringing us down. He's trimming away the fat, the meat, all the stuff that makes a good roast flavorful, and he's leaving just the bone. The core concept that holds the story together, he's only showcasing, okay, here's the story, here's what I have to tell, here's what I have to show, and that's it, so he can increase the story's pacing at quite a faster pace, just so he can get from A to B as quick as humanly possible. Now, it might not be as noticeable, and once again, if the pacing slows right down and the fat comes back to life, so to speak, in the next few chapters, then this is irrelevant, which is great. But 2 chapters in a row with multiple examples of skipped shit sort of concerns me, coupled with the statements. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, at the end of chapter 209, we know that the soldiers had infiltrated the colonies and were going around and trying to capture sorcerers, right? And we saw that Yuji was going to fight them and the comedian was doing his thing, and then boom, we had Fushiguro ready to fight Ten Shadow style against a battalion of soldiers. Would have been a pretty cool battle to see, right? Well, at the beginning of chapter 210, battle's already over, they've captured them, defeated them, and they're already interrogating one of the soldiers, who just so happens to speak Japanese. Lucky break there. So we skipped that whole battle. Now, you could make the argument, and I'm saying that's trimming away the fat, that was skipping a battle. You could make the argument it was just a filler battle. It didn't really matter. It might have been cool to see, but we knew they were going to win. Granted, I could make a very bold statement, and maybe it's a bit of a reach of a comparison. We didn't need to see Yuta in the Sundai colony either. It was just, using the same words, just was really cool to see. But we didn't need to see it. We could have simply stated, and who would have argued, well, Yuta completely destroyed. We could have had a title card with one shot saying, and Yuta completely wiped out a colony all on his own. Once again, trimming away the fat wasn't necessary, but it was really cool to see the Sundai colony, wasn't it? Now, it also would have been really cool to see them fight against the soldiers. I could make the same argument. But Yuta is not the main character, Yuji is. So following Yuji and his group, skipping their battles, seems a little more odd to me, even if they're non-meaningful battles. Even if they're battles against fodder, we still should get to see it. And so after that, it's not just that one piece that happens, the transition between 209 and 210. But then after this, they have a discussion on what to do, etc., in chapter 210. And we get this scene where Yuji and Angel/Hannah are arguing, right? They're arguing about saving soldiers. And we get this flashback, which, by the way, the flashback is surface level. There's more questions and answers given us a Hannah flashback in chapter 210. And as I said, there's more questions and answers. It's very surface level. There was no fat left on that flashback. There was nothing unnecessary there. And honestly, I'm still a little confused about certain elements of that one. Fact of the matter is that between these flashbacks, we have this argument. Yuji wants to save the soldiers. Angel and Hannah seemingly are on the same page and say no. After this, we jump away to Hana saving soldiers. Gege, I think I missed a page or a panel there. What happened? Where was Hana arguing with Angel, saying, no, Angel, I do agree with Yuji. I want to help the soldiers. Or, you know what? Like, this is, you know, we should help, or we should do this, and Angel relents or whatever. Or is Hana going against Angel in this regard? Is Hana saying, no, Angel, I'm the host body and I agree with you? We got none of this. We had none of this information. So it realistically, when we last left them, they said, no, we are not helping soldiers. I refuse to endanger Hana's body like this. And then boom, she does it anyway. And also by herself. They don't even send like, okay, but you two out in front and I'll assist where I deem it safe or anything. There's not even a compromise. It's just, boom, she decides to help. So we skip the transition between they're not going to help to boom, they're going to solo help. Missed something there. Also, we get Fushiguro and Yuji running down an alleyway to meet up with her as though this was all part of the plan. When was this part of the plan? When did they agree to help the soldiers? Why did Angel finally, like, relent? Why did Hana, like what happened? We missed an entire sequence there that, once again, you could argue was fat. Is it necessary? To me, unlike the soldier battle, which just would have been cool to see, I would argue I wanted to see that. I need to know what the hell happened. What changed Angel's mind? You know, I need to know that. And then we jump over to chapter 211 after this. The transitions in 210 were quite a mess, and there were other problems in 210, but the fact of the matter is the flashback was surface level. That left me with a ton of questions, not answers, and then the transitions were so jarring, and we actually skipped between A to B more than once in that chapter. And then when we start off chapter 211, all of a sudden they're all on a rooftop and Maki's there. Clearly already has made introductions with everyone because she's well into a conversation. It's not like, okay, this is the Takaba, this is Hana, she's the angel, she's going to help us, but we need to fallen one, etc., etc. Either Maki just showed up and started talking, they were like, whoa, Maki's here, and she just does not care who Angel is or any of this shit. But that was also jarring. So now, from 209 to 210, we skipped a battle, and then from 210 to 211, we skipped the fact that they relocated. They went somewhere else. Maki shows up and just, it's like, okay, and clearly they've already made introductions. They've already discussed, you know, other unimportant stuff. Once again, the fat part they're trimming off, and they just left the parts of the conversation where they discuss what to do next to progress the story. And then also within chapter 211, they agree to, after having all the conversations and a lot of the stuff that I didn't, I'll be honest with you, fully understand, they agree which rules they need to add next. They also showcase, okay, Megumi is, I don't know when this was discussed. Apparently Yuta and Hikari knew about this. Another scene that I don't remember. Now this might be my own fault. I don't remember them ever discussing they were going to give all their points to Fushiguro to make the rules when he deemed fit. But I guess they did. But once again, if we didn't see that scene, there's another let's trim the fat scene. Another scene that seems to be cut, and we're just supposed to assume it happened. Because boom, Yuta and Hikari give all their points to Megumi, and he gets to make all the decisions. Boom, boom, boom. They discuss this. They say, hey, I need Sumiki brought here, yada, yada, yada. They go. They have a couple of panels where, boom, Sumiki's already in the colony. Maki has already left, went to get her, and brought her in, seemingly in a page. Now, once again, I don't think that it's necessary to showcase more of that, but it seems jarring compared to what we've had for now 2 chapters in a row. The lack of slow, like, moving transitions and stuff like that. Just the jarring hard cuts to, okay, Maki left the colony and went to get Sumiki. She's already there with Sumiki walking down the road. And boom, we already have our replacement. We have a quick conversation, and boom, now brought right into the colony, dropped, problem solved. And I'm not complaining about the fact that Sumiki dropped right in front of Yuji and Megumi. I have no problem with that. Because we know there's something creepy going on there. But that, like, as I said, just, do you see what I'm saying now? We have cut and trimmed from 210 to 211, have cut out entire if you added it all up, I would argue an entire chapter's and a half's worth of content gone. You could have easily made the battle between the soldiers a chapter, or at least half a chapter, if you had expanded on the conversations between Angel and Hana and Yuji, and when they compromised, when they agreed to go attack the fishing hook curse spirit, and when they changed Angel's mind, how they compromised, any of that stuff, which I argue is relevant. That's an other half a chapter. And then we get the, okay, Maki has met up with the group part. Even a page worth, or a couple of pages worth of Maki entering the colony, tracking them down, finding them, be like, hey, we're meeting up now, sort of idea. You could still transition, but the fact that, boom, just next chapter, Maki's there, hi. And it's like, okay, and she's well into her conversation. It's, you can, I'm just arguing, not saying it's all bad necessarily, but they're really, Gege is trimming away anything deemed unnecessary and leaving only the core dialogue that he feels is necessary, the core pages he feels is necessary, and he's cutting out things that he just doesn't think are absolutely necessary to the story. Sort of like how you can cut down any book or any manga or any movie. You're like, yeah, we don't need this part, we don't need to see this, that, and the other thing, regardless whether it's important to follow it narratively and to have good flow. That's my point. Chapter between the end of chapter 209 to the end of 211 has had terrible flow, has had jarring transitions, skipped entire sections, and has had awful pacing and flow as a result. It's been far too fast, and after seeing a statement that says over about a month ago saying, I want to end this in a year, sort of seeing a pattern here already within 2 chapters. And that's what's sort of bothering me. Now, once again, 2 chapters, maybe they're just, Gege's excited to get to something in chapter 214-15 and just wants to hurry up and get there and is trimming this stuff away, just excited about a certain section coming up soon. This might not be a continuing problem for the rest of the year, for the rest of the manga. However, just keep your eyes out on what happens in chapters 212 and 13 respectively. As I said, I will take this back. This is only a concern. I'm not saying this is definite. I'm saying that when we first got the statement in December, it held about as much water as Oda saying he wanted to end One Piece 20 years ago. It holds about that much water. But now, between double statements that so far are seemingly true and the current pacing and flow of the recent chapters, there's a little more weight. You can take the statements with a little more salt than we're used to, I guess, because it just seems like Gege is trying to hurry up and get to where he wants to be. So that's just me. That's my spiel, guys. As I said, I'm not trying to fearmonger anybody or anything like that. I'm just saying that now, after looking at everything, you know, sort of stepping back and trying to look at the bigger picture of things, I'm not saying Gege can end this in a year well, but it seems like he's trying his damnedest so far with the recent couple of chapters. So, as I said, if 213, 12, and 14 come out and they're nice and back to a normal pacing, not jarring transitions, not skipping stuff, no more trimming of the fat, so to speak, then maybe it's all okay. It just happened to be these couple of chapters felt that way, right? So, but anyways, that's my spiel. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And what do you think? Do you think I'm just going a little too much up here? I'm letting my blood pressure rise for no reason? Or do I have some leg to stand on? Do I have a little bit of ground here? Who knows? But let me know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always. And we'll see you guys back here next time for more Jujutsu Kaisen content at some point, I'm sure. And that's it from me. This has been Griever. Sayonara.